Ron Siegel.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family, your business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Before we get into our intriguing content this morning, please join me in welcoming our featured guest, Frederick Fascenelli. Welcome.
Thank you.
Did I at least pronounce your name properly?
Oh, you did perfect. Perfectly done.
Thank you, sir. Let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are no operators standing by. I am it.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And obviously, being that it is another day right here on Ron Siegel Radio, we have our opening segment of Ask Your Mortgage Advocate. What are we going to chat about today? Your mortgage advocate's got the information. What is the waiting period on derogatory credit events? Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they have their own waiting periods. FHA, which is Jennie Mae, they have their own. VA has their own. But I'm going to give you the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac versions today. They're very, very similar to each other, so take note. If you had one of these derogatory items, that would be bankruptcy, Chapter 7 or 11, Chapter 13, multiple bankruptcies dealt differently, foreclosures, short sales, deed and liens, all of that. When it comes to your housing, how long do you have to wait until you can get back in the game? So here it is. Bankruptcy, Chapter 7 or 11, you have a 4-year waiting period with Fannie Mae. You do a little bit less than that if you have FHA. That would be the Jennie Mae program. Chapter 13 bankruptcy, 2 years from the discharge date, 4 years from the dismissal date. Bankruptcy, multiple bankruptcy filings. If you are one of those repeaters, 5 years of more than one filing within the past 7 years. Foreclosure, you get to wait 7 years. Deed in lieu, short sale, pre-foreclosure sale, charge off. That's a 4-year waiting period. That's why I tell you that never ever, unless there's some real interesting scenarios in there, you don't want to go the foreclosure route. Go with the short sale route. Go with the deed in lieu route. Save you 3 years. There are extenuating circumstance issues. That's what the government-sponsored entities have set up. I'm going to tell you right now, most of them, it's very, very difficult to get extenuating circumstances through, even in the most logical of cases. Now, Freddie Mac, what they do is they look at whatever their automated underwriting system scores, and that's where they go from. But you've got the rule of thumb. FHA, sometimes you can get away with 2 or 3 years on the bankruptcies. 1 day out of short sale on FHA if you've been current on your payments. 1 day out of short sale. Have you ever seen that one? Yes, I have. So the scenario was very, very simple. Gentleman in northern San Diego, his son was diagnosed with a terminal disease, and he needed to get out of his property. This was probably about 3 to 4 years ago. Needed to get out of his property. The home was upside down. He owed more on it than it was worth, but he had no choice. He had to get rid of it at that time, get a new place for his family to live, because his son could not continue going up and down the stairs. Never missed a mortgage payment. That is the key to the FHA program. He needed to short sale. He needed to get out of it for a medical issue, but he never missed a payment, was never late. Was able to sell the property, short sold the property, and go right into another property that he was able to buy because of the extenuating circumstances. So here's the bottom line, and not every institution will accept that. So even though FHA says, yes, that is the rules, one of the things that we've shared with you, just because you've got a rule, just because there is a law, Those are minimum standards. Those are not the ultimate standard. And we've chatted about that before, even when we talk about divorce. Judge may say that you're not liable for the mortgage, but as a lender, they don't care. They look at it and say, you know something, yes, we understand the judge said you're not liable, but in order to enforce that judge's ruling, we would have to go to court. And we would rather not go to court, so we just will increase the debt-to-income ratio and say, you know something, you don't qualify because we're looking at that even though you're not liable. We understand you're not liable, but we're going to put it into the debt-to-income ratio anyway. You don't qualify. That's why you've got a consumer advocate to give you this guidance so that you can chat with your attorney and say, you know, I understand that that's what the judge said, but we want to get the stipulation to be that I want my name off the mortgage completely. Even that way we know that I'm not liable for it. There are some attorneys out there that understand this part of the way the lending world works. There are some that don't understand that. We're happy to share the information with them. That is Ask Your Mortgage Advocate. Looking at the great U.S. economy once again, are we doing really well right now? We're seeing the markets, following the markets. I did notice this morning Americans filing first-time unemployment benefits, 255,000 Americans filing the first-time unemployment benefits. We did show you the numbers. I think it was yesterday or the day before. We talked about how many more people are having to work more hours just to make ends meet. And now we see the latest in the unintended consequences from our friends on the left. We told you that people were going to lose their jobs the more we continued with the unemployment mandates or the minimum wage mandates. Well, now we're seeing that that is happening, and guess what? Raise the minimum wage, and people are finding out that now they don't qualify for the government benefits that they were getting. So they're saying, I don't want to work as many hours because then I lose my benefits. So yes, at $15 an hour, that does get a person about $30,000 a year in income if they can find a full-time job and if they want to work that hard. When you get all these government incentives not to work, what is that doing for people? It gets you more of the what we call the underemployment. That's the U6 number that we talk about all the time. Unemployment and underemployment pushing 11% right now under the great economy that we've got in the Obama administration. Also looked at what the continuing jobless claims number are. We don't hear that number talked about at all. Continuing jobless claims, that's after that initial jobless claim period. That's when you go on to extended jobless claims. 2.2 million people on the continuing unemployment. The last time we were reporting we had on that, 2.21 million. So that's dropped a little bit from these numbers. Unbelievable that we can still think that there are still people out there, the president's still telling everybody that the economy is doing very, very well. But then again, yesterday he also told us that the wait time at the Veterans Administration is dropping. So the question that I ask on a regular basis when we get the VA wait time is dropping according to the president, we find out when we talk to the veterans that's not really true. We listened to Susan Rice tell us about the video that incited the Benghazi attack. We find out that that's not really true. And now we're listening to the president telling us there is no secret deal in the Iran treaty. Oh, we can't say it's a treaty. It's not a treaty. It's an agreement because a treaty would have to be approved by Congress. And this one just gets a disapproval. Unbelievable under this president. But they are saying now there's no special deal with the IAEA. Do you believe them? I was born at night, just not last night. These guys are...
You're absolutely useless.
Absolutely useless. Unbelievable that they want the American people to believe these things as they want to give Iran $150 billion to continue with their state sponsor of terrorism. And they're the only one that's been, in my opinion, the only one that's really been honest throughout this entire process has been the leaders of Iran. They basically came out and straight out said it. They got everything they wanted in the deal and more. Unfortunately, American people, we got left holding the bag once again with the president. And Nancy Pelosi, did you hear what she's up to now? Saying that even though it's in her district that Kate Steinle was killed by an illegal criminal, multi-time offender, that it's just an issue of Donald Trump. Really?
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
That's about the way she thinks. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, everything you need to know about criminal law. We're going to chat with our in-studio guest. Financial resources for active military, Texas lawmakers. They want to get rid of the CFPB. Holy cow. Oh. Yeah, we like that idea, though. And Freddie Mac, Equity Matters. We're going to talk about that one as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel lending team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel lending team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel lending team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
Do you have a loved one who wants to stay in their home but you have health concerns about it? The Preferred Care team understands the challenges of caring for your loved ones. Their goal is to keep seniors as independent as possible while maintaining their health, safety, and overall well-being. Whether you need just a few hours a week or 24-hour care, Preferred Care caregivers are trained to meet your needs. Call Preferred Care at 714-696-9150. That's 714-696-9150. Or visit preferredcare.com.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel lending team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel lending team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037 and DRE number 018694452.
Are you a veteran, police officer, firefighter, doctor, nurse, or teacher? If so, you qualify as one of Ron Siegel's VIP heroes, and we have rewards up to $5,000 or $10,000 when you buy, sell, or refinance a home with one of the Ron Siegel radio partners. As one of the heroes, real estate agents will rebate part of their commission. Lending partners will give a credit at closing. The title company has special published rates, and many other service providers have incentives too. All you need to do is call Ron Siegel Radio at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit VIPHeroProgram.com. Just think about what you will do with all the rebates and incentives from the partners of Ron Siegel Radio. Just call us at 800-306-1990 so we can show you our appreciation for your service.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Word on Wealth segment today, actually I forgot about it, it's not the Word on Wealth, it's a Mortgage Minute brought to you by Commerce for a Cause. You have a business, you have a credit cards, or you accept credit cards, and you're paying a credit card processing fee. Commerce for a Cause will take and match all of your rates, but they'll donate 20% of the processing fee to the charity of your choice. Great organization. Why not help out the community while you're doing the same things you're doing on a regular basis? So new law being proposed or presented. Texas lawmakers are putting forth a bill to eliminate the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB. Ironically, or you could almost guess where it's coming from, U.S. Representative John Ratcliffe and U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, both from Texas. They're looking at the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010, saying that the CFPB is doing the exact opposite. They are not protecting the consumer, which we've spoken about that many, many times, and in fact, they are harming the consumer. They're looking for Congress to say, let's get rid of this organization that is simply the judge, jury, executioner, and the enforcement arm without any oversight. So what is it? How does this affect you? Why do I bring this up? Well, I had a conversation last year with the owner of a mortgage company. I had a conversation last week with the owner of a mortgage company, and both shared with me that if it wasn't for all of this government regulation that's been added to the market, the one last year told me that he figures that it's an extra 1/4 to 0.5% on interest rates. So if you're getting a loan right now at 4%, you could be at anywhere from 3.5 to 3 3/4 if it wasn't for the CFPB and the worry that every company has over their regulation. Same issue now, it's probably closer to 1%. Think about this. Historically, we have seen the 30-year fixed rate loan between 1.5 and 1 3/4% above the 10-year Treasury. Now, the 10-year Treasury right now, as I'm chatting with you, is at, about 2.30. That means a 30-year fixed rate loan historically should have been around 3.8, but it's not. The 30-year fixed rate is higher than that. When we had interest rates or the 10-year Treasury at 1.5, that means we should have had a 3% fixed rate 30-year loan, but we didn't. Why? Well, because so many of these companies are worried about compliance with what is the CFPB going to be doing next, and there's no oversight of them, so they have to just do whatever they say, whether it's right, wrong, good, bad, or it costs you money. That's the issue. That is the Mortgage Minute, again, brought to you by Commerce for a Cause. So I'd like to bring you a lot of different information, and I know that most of us, hopefully most of us, will never need to call Fred Fascenelli for his services. But if you do, or if you know somebody that you do, maybe here's some background information. Fred's in the criminal law arena. Welcome.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Bob.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you with us. So, most of us, I would say probably, it's like every facet of life, right? I mean, not everybody's going to need a mortgage professional. Not everybody's going to need a real estate professional. Not everybody's going to need a lawyer. Most of the times what we do is we get our knowledge from TV, right? We watch and see Law and Order or something like that. How far from reality is that?
Well, Law and Order, everything happens within 45 minutes, not including the commercials. And, at the end of the day, in Law and Order, the bad guy's put away. And with The Good Wife, the accused is acquitted and he goes home to his wife and his kids. And it's usually just not the way it happens.
Okay, so that's kind of what most of us should believe, that TV is not reality.
It's usually a hybrid between the two. Somebody might get charged with 4 counts in their criminal complaint, and count 1 might be the most egregious, and count 4 might be less egregious. And 95% of all the cases settle, so it comes to a point of a compromise where nobody's happy. Neither the defendant is happy nor the prosecutor's happy. But in those cases where cases go to trial, well, then you find that the jury either comes up with some other solution. So they might acquit the individual, they might convict the individual, or often an individual is found guilty of what they refer to as a lesser-included offense. So if you want to think of attempted murder as a charge, somebody could be convicted of attempted manslaughter, which would be a lesser-included offense.
Interesting. Okay, but I guess with criminal law, it's the same as what most of us have heard of in the civil side, is most of the time you're looking at settlements.
Yes.
And I guess in almost all negotiations, if no one's happy, that means it's probably a good settlement.
Exactly. What you find out is there's always two sides to a story, and the truth lies somewhere in between. And when you look at settling a criminal case, it's, it could be this, it could be that, but we can agree on these facts that happened, and if we can agree on these facts that happened, then this would be the appropriate settlement for the case.
Interesting. So in that case, then, if it's going to settle at some point, or you say 95% of them settle, what's the benefit of using a private attorney versus a public?
Well, I think the biggest mistake most people make from the get-go is they get either, and I'll use a DUI for example, they get a DUI, they get pulled over on, say, January 1st, but it takes anywhere from a month to 3 months, especially in Orange County, for the district attorney to file charges on you. So over that period of time, the individual, the accused, will be waiting around going, I haven't heard from him, so no news is good news. And time is never on the side of the defendant. You never know what might disappear. So you're looking at video evidence that might have been available 2 days after the event. It'll be gone in 30 days, and then you lose a defense. So the thing about getting a private lawyer is, number one, call them right away, and then that person can, like for me, I have my private investigator who shares my office with me, and I can send Mike Diamatteo from Diamatteo and Associates. He has done wonderful things. I can share tons of stories with you about the work he can do, and public defenders take a long time, and by the time they get on the case and get a public defender investigator out there, it might be 3, 4, 5 months down the line, and by that time, the evidence is stale or destroyed.
And many people probably have forgot whatever had happened.
Exactly. And the idea, one of the common questions is, I might pick up a case that a public defender sat on for 6, 8, 10 months. They hire me, I get my investigator out there in short order, and they take a statement from the witness. And then if the case goes to trial, the common tactic from the district attorney is, well, Mr. Jones, you spoke to the police officer on the date of the event, right? Yes. And you gave him a statement, didn't you? Yes. Well, then 6 months later, you spoke to a private investigator for the defense, and you gave him a statement too, correct? Yes, I did. Well, when was your memory better? The day of the event or 10 months after the event? Oh, well, probably the day after the event. So it really kind of negates anything that that may happen. But if you take a statement, say, a week later, you go, oh, well, yeah, I gave it a statement on the day of the event, but a week later I had a time to reflect on what really happened, and I didn't have flashing lights in my face, and I didn't have police officers asking me 10 questions at any given time. I had a little more time to reflect on the event, and I think my statement a week later was more accurate. So that helps out a defendant tremendously.
But I bet the district attorney isn't going to ask it that week, then, are they?
No.
Because they know they know that that's the answer that they're going to get, and they don't really want to set that question up properly, or set that question up in that manner.
I had a fantastic case where a girl got a DUI down in Costa Mesa, and she literally came to me 2 days after the event, and she said, she was the probable cause for pulling her over was it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and she was driving with her lights off. And I asked her, well, did you have your lights on? She goes, of course I had my lights on. And so I sent my investigator out. She told me where she was pulled over and what street. And Mike Diamatteo, he got out there and he found a pawn shop with a security camera that was facing outside to cover the door of the pawn shop, and saw the whole thing. Saw the defendant pull out, her lights were on, watched her get pulled over, and when push came to shove, the case was dismissed.
That's probably, in many instances, that's probably the best solution you can get.
And the real good thing for that is that video would not have lasted more than 7 days.
Well, absolutely, because the pawn shop's going to run, re-record over it, because they don't have a need to keep it if they didn't get broken into. That was their purpose. It wasn't to protect somebody driving by. We're going to talk more about this when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. For financial resources for active military, Freddie Mac Equity Matters. That's a new report from Merrill Lynch as well. You can reach me anytime. Our off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Connect with us, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio, or on Twitter @Ron Siegel. Don't forget, if you miss any part of our broadcasts, the audio is right there on Ron Siegel Radio in the archives. The video is on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you currently renting a home? Do you like paying someone else's mortgage payment? Why not explore the options to purchase your own home? Can you imagine a 30-year fixed-rate loan below 4.25% APR? This means with $10,500, you can purchase a $295,000 home and have a principal and interest payment of about $1,400 per month. What are you paying in rent? Does your family deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the current market? To learn more about these exciting opportunities, the Siegel Lending Team is standing by to speak with you. Call now, 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Or 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender. Not endorsed or sponsored by any government agency.
Is bad credit holding you back? Did the economic and real estate crisis cripple your credit? There is hope. There is a solution. The Ascent Network is a nonprofit organization that has been helping individuals nationwide repair their credit. Don't let bad credit and the mistakes of the past dictate your financial future. Call Ascent today to take that first step to getting your credit back on track. You can reach Ascent by calling toll-free at 877-871-2400. That's 877-871-2400. Once again, that toll-free number is 877-871-2400. Don't delay. Call Ascent today. Ron Siegel Radio Date Night Trivia, presented by Reunion Kitchen and Drink. Friday, Ron will pose a question based on-air conversations during the prior 7 programs. The person to post the answer according to the guest conversation will win a date night package, including a dinner gift card for Reunion Kitchen and Drink. You might even be able to say hi to Ron when you visit Reunion Kitchen and Drink.
Are you purchasing or own a luxury home? If you're like so many others, your home is your largest asset and the mortgage is your largest debt. The Siegel Lending Team has some amazing financing opportunities right now. Jumbo loans up to $2 million, 30-year rates below 4%, 15-year rates near 3.5%, and if you can believe it, 7-year interest-only hybrids in low 3s. The Siegel Lending Team has all the options for your jumbo or second home loan requirements. Take advantage of them while you can. To learn more about all the other financing products available from the Siegel Lending Team, call 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Or visit SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com. Again, call 1-800-306-1990. Rates subject to change without notice. Licensed by NMLS ID 217037 and 145502. Equal housing lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Word on Wealth segment today brought to you by CreditSanitizer.com. You have a credit report, it is wrong. Every one of them are wrong. At least I've never seen one that's correct. I've been looking at them since the 90s. Not looking for perfect scores, just saying accuracy. They're incorrect. CreditSanitizer.com will help you with those corrections where needed. Interesting story coming out from Freddie Mac. Equity matters a lot, according to Freddie Mac. And according to a Merrill Lynch survey, over 80% of the people in this country believe that home ownership is still, quote, an important part of the American dream, unquote. Many financial and non-financial reasons people feel this way. One of the biggest reasons is because it helps build family wealth. Last week, Freddie Mac posted about the power of home equity. And they explained it, I'll quote, "In the simplest terms, equity is the difference between how much your home is worth and how much you owe on your mortgage. You build equity by paying down your mortgage over time and through your home's appreciation. In a nutshell, your money is working for you and contributing towards your financial future," unquote. Went on to show an example where a person bought a home for $150,000. Great example, national, it's not in Orange County or San Diego. Put 10% down, $135,000 loan. That in this instance, in the example, they used a 4.5% fixed rate mortgage. You should be paying less than that. Monthly mortgage payment of $684.03, not including taxes and insurance. And they did the illustration that after 7 years, $67,518 in home equity. Now, you know, as a listener to Ron Siegel Radio, I do not want you to have a lot of home equity. I want you to take that money out whenever you can. Now buy a second piece of property or put it into one of the financial instruments that I've shared with you that get you a safe, secure rate of return historically of about 14%, very little risk. If you do that, 14% basically means that every 6 years your money's going to double. Not going to happen in your primary residence. Again, you can't guarantee the future, but it's happened enough times in the past that you can make an assumption that that which has happened in the past could happen in the future. You got to say could in there because otherwise the regulators don't like us saying that. That is our real-time real estate segment, or actually the word, we got the segments all backwards today. Word on Wealth, brought to you by creditsanitizer.com. Got my tongues all going in different directions today. Must be getting close to Friday. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, well, we're going to continue our conversation. Frederick Fascenelli, attorney, criminal law. Hope you don't ever need his services, but as I've shared with you many, many times, whether you need someone's services or not, the one thing that I can always guarantee on Ron Siegel Radio, knowledge never hurts. So we're chatting this morning. We've talked to one of the biggest areas that I see, and again, I don't know a lot of criminals, but one of the areas that I see most frequently in people of my generation, maybe a little bit older, actually sometimes it's a little younger, is the DUI, the driving under the influence. It's got a lot of headlines, obviously, makes good, as the president said, what if it bleeds, it leads?
Yes.
Right, so DUI, is that a major part of the criminal world, or are there other things that you see in criminal law that are more prevalent?
Well, I tend to do major crimes, so I do the crimes that are felonies. I do DUI murder, where they're considered Watson murder. Those are major crimes. People are looking at life imprisonment for something like that. But I also do I do everything from murder to DUI, everything in between.
Wow.
And I just like the felony area better because it's just it's not as much of a grind. DUIs are very interesting in their own right, but they're not as challenging for my expertise. How's that?
So it's kind of like when I was in college, I was studying to be a tax attorney, and I was doing a lot of the accounting things, and I looked at it and said, boy, this is boring.
It's a lot of the same thing, and the DAs start off in DUIs. So the first year district attorneys, they get started off in misdemeanor land, and they're doing DUI after DUI after DUI, and they're just not as experienced as the district attorneys that you meet in, say, the felony arraignments or the trial courtrooms. It's just a nicer place to practice.
I like that. In criminal law, it's the nicer place to practice.
It is. It is.
So you must have some real interesting individuals that you come across.
I come across. I'll call them, people make poor decisions. It's a poor decision practice that I am always concerned with, because many times you can come up with a solution which is really good, and the person just doesn't want to take it for one reason or another. And I can tell you about I just finished a trial in Norwalk, which is, I have to say that the staff in Norwalk is a fantastic place. But the case was a case where the individual was doing suicide by a cop, and he just wanted to die. And long story short, they didn't kill him, they just shot him. And then they charged him with assault on 6 police officers with a semi-automatic handgun, where if he was convicted on all those accounts, he would have gotten 130 years in prison. But after negotiating with the district attorney for quite a long period of time, we worked it out that he would do 20 years in prison, and he would do that time at what they refer to as 67% time. And it was the appropriate negotiated settlement for a case of that caliber. No police officer was hurt, they were just threatened. And it worked out well for a settlement.
That must be an interesting arena, just because, I'm kind of outspoken sometimes, and I look at some of these cases and I wonder how, I understand the Constitution a little bit, and the people have the rights, but I'm always leaning, I'd probably make a very, very poor juror.
Actually, you probably make a very good juror, because what I find is that jurors, many people have that concept of, bad person, jail, but I'm
worse. I always thought bad person, it's a shame that the police didn't give him exactly what he wanted.
Exactly. Well, I hear that often. But, what you find is that in every case has its goods and its bads. And some people are just, I have to tell you, I've represented everybody from people who are just, what I'll say, misunderstood, to people who are, and I'm just evil. They are. But everybody is entitled to the protections under the Constitution, because affording these people the protections under the Constitution don't just protect them, but they protect people like you and I from police interference, government intrusion into our homes and our lives. And that is the big picture, which many people don't want to look at, but it is really the big picture that controls what I do for a living, because I truly believe in the big picture. I am not just protecting people who've done wrong. I feel like I am really protecting the rights of the public.
So let me ask you a personal question then, being that you're out there, you're on the front lines, so to speak.
Sure.
A lot more than somebody like me. I see, a lot of these issues that, what went on in Baltimore, and I see what went on with Ferguson and some of these different areas. From a personal standpoint, I look at it and say, something, I'm almost like, I'm kind of like on the side of where the police officers come in. Most often I see the police officers will say, we want the bad officers out worse than the public does.
Okay.
And I look at it and say, okay, I'll buy that. But sometimes when you've got some of the worst of the worst and you're defending them, how does that make you feel?
Well, you have to understand that my job is to make sure the individual is fairly represented under the law. So if sometimes there's just cases where you cannot, you're told one set of stories, but as you delve down deeper, you find out that it's just not true. Well, the fact is, if the person gets a fair trial, or if the person is treated well under the law, well then, I've done my job. I've made sure all of his rights are protected, or her rights have been protected. I think I have a pretty good reputation. I've cross-examined hundreds, if not over 1,000 police officers in my career, and I don't believe any of the police officers think I am mean or nasty when I'm doing it. I'm just here to make sure that everybody's rights are protected, nothing more.
Well, that might be a part of the scenario that a lot of us get misconceptions under, right? Because we look at, all we really know, our experience, so to speak, if you want to call it experience, is that which we see on TV, and you see the defense attorney trying to make the police officer look like an idiot.
Right, and I don't. I just want to get to the truth and or the facts. But many times, we're talking about trials. Many people ask me, well, how many trials have you done? I said, well, for me, I've done over 120 felony jury trials, which that's probably second to most DAs. Very few private lawyers can get that many done. But people say, well, how many do you win? Winning is a very pragmatic approach, in my mind, to the practice of law, because you may, before trial, a defendant may be offered 15 years in prison, and he rejects that. And then we go to trial, and he's found guilty of, say, something else, and he's sentenced to 5 years in prison. Well, does that go down as a win? In my book, yes, it does. Even though he was convicted, it still goes down as a win because the defendant is now in a better place after trial than he was before trial.
Interesting. We're going to chat more about that when we come back. I find this so fascinating. I hope you're enjoying it as well and learning something like I am. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. Our conversation today with Frederick Fascenelli, a criminal attorney, in studio with us. And you can reach me anytime. Our off-air number is 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. If you need to meet Frederick, just give me a call. I will put you in touch with him. Connect with us on Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Do you have a goal of mortgage-free home ownership? What if your home was valued at $500,000? Are you aware that a free and clear home could be costing you $2,500 every month? $30,000 per year? The mortgage planners at the Siegel Lending Team would like to show you how you can own your home, generate tax-free income, and accumulate family wealth. You simply need to call Ron Siegel at 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. By sending the team a copy of your most recent mortgage statement, the team will send you a no-obligation mortgage adoption plan. You be the judge if it's right for your family. Again, all you have to do is send the team a copy of your mortgage statement by email to map@ronsiegelradio.com or call today Ron Siegel 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporation and MLS 217037 and BCAL number 018694452.
Is bad credit holding you back? Did the economic and real estate crisis cripple your credit? There is hope. There is a solution. The Ascent Network is a nonprofit organization that has been helping individuals nationwide repair their credit. Don't let bad credit and the mistakes of the past dictate your financial future. Call Ascent today to take that first step to getting your credit back on track. You can reach Ascent by calling toll-free at 877-871-2400. That's 877-871-2400. Once again, that toll-free number is 877-871-2400. Don't delay. Call Ascent today.
Do you believe Southern California real estate is a great investment? Are you still a little short to be a cash investor? Are you missing the Social Security card or tax returns? The Siegel Lending Team has the loans for you. Common Sense Lending is back. Yes, there is a cost to higher risk, but the reward can be great. Call today for details. 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. That's 1-800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations. NMLS 217037 and BCAL number 018694452.
Homeowners that are 62 and older are about to find out a great way to live a better retirement. It's called a reverse mortgage, and SLT can help you learn more. Call the Siegel Lending Team at 800-306-1990 right now to receive your free booklet with no obligation. It answers questions like how a reverse mortgage works, how much you qualify for, the ways to receive your money, and more. When you call the experts at Siegel Lending Team today, you'll learn the benefits of a government-insured reverse mortgage, how it will eliminate your monthly mortgage payments, and give you tax-free cash from the equity in your home. Here's the best part. You still own your home. Now is the best time to take control of your retirement. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990 to get your free brochure. Call today or visit our website at SiegelLendingTeam.com. That's SIEGEL LendingTeam.com, or simply call 800-306-1990.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That's my message, and as your consumer advocate, I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today brought to you by the Ron Siegel Radio VIP Hero program. Great program. This is geared for military, active duty, retired, reserve, National Guard, law enforcement, firefighters, healthcare professionals, first responders, and teachers. We've got real estate agents giving you a rebate on their commissions. We've got our lending team will give you a rebate. We've got a title company that has special rates published for our heroes. We've got attorneys that will help with some of these areas as well, and the credit repair people standing by with discounts for the heroes. And today we've got some financial resources that are available for active military. Love sharing these resources. So here's some nonprofit financial resources available to military personnel and their family. FINRA, F-I-N-R-A, Foundation's Military Financial Readiness Project. It's from 2006. Provides free financial education tools and training to service members and their spouses. SaveAndInvest.org is a pretty rich storehouse of financial articles, action guides, publications. Military One Source is a Department of Defense funded program that provides educational materials on every aspect of military life at no cost to active duty members. SCRA, Servicemen's Civil Relief Act of 2003, meant to help members devote their entire energy to the defense needs of the nation, according to the act itself. And AAFMAA, holy cow, the American Armed Forces Mutual Aid Association, oldest nonprofit organization that focuses on taking care of military members and their families, established in 1879. Been around a little while. You know, I love talking about military because as an American or even a non-American living in this country, I think that we have a duty and an obligation to say thank you to our military. If it wasn't for them, you know, I couldn't be sitting here in the morning talking the way I talk. Some of the commentary that I make with regard to our government, with the loons like Nancy Pelosi and others, you know, we couldn't do that if it wasn't for the military, you know, fighting and giving us these rights. You wouldn't have an attorney to call like Frederick if it wasn't for military people fighting for our nation to have the freedoms and fighting for the Constitution. I don't think that they have, maybe you know this answer, Fred, do they have criminal defense attorneys in Russia or in China?
Yes, they do, but the standard is completely different. You have to prove your innocence. So that makes it rather kind of hard. I just came back from Vietnam 2 years ago and looked at their criminal justice system when I was visiting. It was very interesting, very swift. 3 days from arrest to execution.
Yeah, like from arrest to execution. They might even give the defense a chance to say hello, right?
Maybe.
So it's our military. We can say thank you. And I know that you're doing a lot of special things for the military as well. Share a little, would you?
Well, my father was a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, and back in the early 70s, he was deployed to Thailand as a B-52 pilot. And I was lucky enough to be able to come with him. And I lived in a house on the beach in Thailand, but often I would go to see him over at the Air Force Base, which is called Utapao. And I have a very fond memory of that time in my life. I was very young. I was 9 years old. But the nice thing is, as I grew up, I had more friends who went into the military. A good friend of mine, Kurt Freund, he was a helicopter pilot out of Camp Pendleton. And they were all deployed in the first Gulf War, and when they came back, I started noticing a lot of his friends were getting these DUIs for either DUIs or super excessive speed, 100 miles an hour plus.
Wow.
So these are all signs of what they refer to as PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. So I started representing these soldiers on a pro bono basis to help them not lose their license and not mess up their military careers. And now in the last year, I've teamed up with the Veterans Legal Institute out of Santa Ana. They're at 2100 Broadway in Santa Ana. And great group of people. I take on a caseload of 10 cases, misdemeanors and felonies, and help the veterans solve their problem or keep their military status there's a whole host of tools available to us. The government, our legislature has just passed Penal Code Section 1001.80, which allows for a defendant who is a veteran to get what they refer to as pre-plea diversion. He doesn't have to plead guilty, but he can go to a diversion setup where he can get help, and if he completes the diversion program, his case is dismissed. And that only works in misdemeanors, but it has other aspects that will apply to felonies also.
So what my takeaway from that is, Fred, is that I don't need to know the penal code, because I don't even remember what you said 2 seconds ago. That was beyond that was beyond my scope. But what we really want to get out there is that there's people like you and the folks over at Veterans Legal who are looking to help the veterans. And if you are a veteran, obviously we're broadcasting today from, we're covering from Tijuana all the way to maybe Santa Barbara and to the east as well from the ocean. A lot of military people, military families under our broadcast map. And there are people like yourself and the folks at Veterans Legal who are offering solutions or some guidance. Maybe there isn't a solution, but there's always guidance that people can get because of these great services.
Yes, Antoinette at Veterans Legal Institute, she is a fantastic civil lawyer. A lot of vets have issues in reconnecting with civil society, and that institute is fantastic on the civil side. And I think
she's an active reserve currently, even.
I believe so, yes. And
so she knows what she's speaking about, is what I'm saying there.
You bet. She is fantastic. Can't say enough good things about her. And I just take care of the criminal aspect because many times the way you conduct yourself in a war or a combat arena is not the same way you can conduct yourself in a civil society, and you have a lot of spillover. But I have to say, I whipped out that penal code only because there are many things that are passed by our legislature in California that I just do not agree with at all. But I have to say that I was really impressed that our legislature was able to come together and actually just recently pass that penal code and make it a new law for California that allows veterans to get treatment instead of punishment. Because I've always believed that effectively we broke them, it's our job to fix them.
That makes a lot of sense, and it's a shame that there's not more publicity for that exact message. That I believe that a lot of the folks that have gone in, there's a lot. Everybody has their own reason for going into the military, and there's a lot of young men and women that go into the military that it really enhances or brings out the best of people. But they can get swayed. They're so young. I mean, when you really think about it, think back. When you were 17 or 18 years old, are you proud today of everything you did then?
Oh, no, not at all. But right? I find it really strange that there's a push now to, push the choices that we are allowed to do as adults, say smoking or, drinking. They push them farther and farther away, but you are being able to entrust the same person with driving a tank or flying a helicopter at that same age. I think we need to truly figure out what type of people we're going to be using fund our military as far as bodies go, and treat them accordingly. Treat them like adults.
Well, they are, because they're out there putting it on the line so we can all do as a society what we choose to do, be it good, bad, or indifferent. It's because of them that we're not under a China rule or a Russia rule or something like that.
And that goes back to the concept of affording people an opportunity for a fair trial, and affording people protections under the Constitution. And that, I'm a real big constitutionalist. I really believe in it. It's a fantastic document that is unlike any place else in the world. We are the only people, except Mexico, that have the burden of proving a criminal case, making that on the state. Canada, you have to prove your innocence. England, you have to prove your innocence. Germany, you have to prove your innocence.
Interesting information. If you want more information about Veterans Legal, give us a call and set that first radio preset button to come back here every day to join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. You can reach me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember my mantra, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.
Hi, it's Colin Coward. You're listening to ESPN Radio 1700. Catch me weekdays at 7 a.m. ESPN Radio 1700.